All right, we are going to have a fun day today. I need you to do two things while you're getting ready. Grab a notebook or something to write on and pens. We're going to do a working business planning session. It's going to be amazing. You do not need to print this out because you're going to take notes. That way you have it to fill out later. We are going to give you a business plan in 45 minutes or less. I'm going to go over it. We're going to open it up for questions after that. So be ready with your questions. We're going to talk about a lot of things today with the business plan, but some of the most important things that are different than other business plans are things like your messaging and your branding. Could you imagine if I came on the call and I was like, hey guys, we're going to do some business planning today. I know you've done it before and you probably don't know your numbers, but we're going to do that today. Boo, boring, jumping off the call, have better things to do with my time. When you answer the question, how are you going to help me sell my home? And you are fuzzy. That's exactly how you're showing up to that consumer. We are better than that. We are real estate professionals and we are the top of the top. If your business doesn't reflect that, then this business plan is going to give you everything you need if you execute on it. Make sure you're taking the time to execute on this. But we're going to go over everything, 45 minutes or less. You've got your business plan. What kind of things make you worried about putting together a business plan? You can unmute. Active session here. Brian, lack of clarity on the how or the who, or just expand on it.
Can't say that I've ever been a real great annual planner. So it's a little bit new and uncertain exactly what we want to do. Now, I feel like we're gaining clarity just diving into the entire year and trying to plan it out in advance.
I love it. And I love the honesty. I think that is probably most people's experience, right? How do I plan this out in a way that, number one, gets me to my goal at the end of the year, but also makes it so clear that it's almost impossible for me not to hit the goal. And so that's why sometimes we don't do it, or we don't go into it in depth because it seems like another thing, or it's super complicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of us have done a super complicated business plan? Yeah, me too. Where I'm like, wait, what's a sandbox? What is that? So I've done that too. All right. Augustine said, setting realistic, achievable goals. Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the who, the how, the why, the what. We're going to do all of it. So this is your business plan. This is exactly the link that I gave you. There are 4 parts to a successful business plan. This is knowledge from going through business planning myself for the last, I've been a realtor for 21 years, 22 years. And I've done a business plan almost every year. Now, some were great, some sucked, some had no chance of ever seeing the light of day. But there are a few things that need to happen. We're going to start first with setting the stage by celebrating things we've achieved over the past 12 months. How many of you, if I said, give me 10 mistakes you made this last year, immediately in your mind came up with like 2 or 3? But if I said, give me 3 things you just nailed this year, you're like, can I get back to you in like 2 hours? I really got to think about this. We're just not used to celebrating what we do. The whole point of this is the journey. It's actually not the destination. It's enjoying that journey, which is really hard for a lot of us. So that's the first part. The second part is removing obstacles. So if I told you, for those of you that have ever planned your kid's birthday party, I'm probably speaking mostly to the women, but I'm not trying to discriminate here. I always said, man, I want to be my husband at my kids' birthday parties because he is just as surprised as they are with all the things that are happening. He's like, wow, I love this hotel that you booked and the kids are all swimming and the balloons are so cute. What do we get him or her for their birthday, right? Where I'm over here like, oh my gosh, all right, I got to book that hotel. Ugh, that pool is just gross. I'm not going there. Okay, we'll do that one. All right, what's the cake? Invitations. Oh my gosh, I need those little party favor bags. I got to do that. Oh, and I can't forget to invite Susie because she didn't get invited to the last one and her mom threw a fit, right? That's like one person's point of view. The second person's point of view is like, this is the best party ever. Like, our kids love it. I'm so excited. If I told you that you're going to have to accomplish 10 major things that are going to take you at least 4 months each to implement, plus you're going to need more leverage, plus you're going to need more money in order just to do it, you'd be like, count me out. So the gap is too big. That's why we do a business plan. We can remove some of those obstacles. And we're like, you know what? Get rid of that. I don't need this. This is something that makes sense. This one doesn't. That's what a business plan does when it's done right. So we're going to go over that as well. Then there's 5 models that have to be in a business plan in order for it to be the right foundation. We're going to nail those too. And then lastly, we're going to put it all together. So you actually know what your goals are and you didn't tuck it away in some folder and never look at it again. Let's start with vision. This is where you're going to start working right away. When you are creating the vision, let's go ahead and look at what are our top 5 accomplishments. We want to take your trajectory and shorten it. So if I said, hey, go take this vision page, do an hour at a coffee shop, you'd use the time allotted. But if I said, I am giving you 2 minutes and you have to write down 5 accomplishments and everybody has to write one of them in the chat, or I'll start removing you from the call one-on-one, you'd do it, right? You'd be like, what? What? You're removing me from this free call? Damn straight. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You're going to write down 5 top accomplishments for the last year. Ready? Go. Oh my gosh. Like, I feel good reading these, you guys. Amazing. All right. Next part. This is where you're going to look at the vision. We're going to future cast, but you're going to look at your business very strategically. Now, if you come to this call before, you've seen this probably in a spreadsheet view where you're really looking at your business and you're deciding, do you have a system for your past clients and sphere of influence that consistently generates inbound referrals? Now, when you're going to go through and rate yourself, you are never going to use number 3. Why? Because nobody likes to be average or medium, right? No one's ever been excited to say, you know what size I am? Medium. No. So we're not 3s. We're 1 or 2 because we're on the lower end of the consistency part of it or the referral part of it, or we're 4 and 5. Even though I'm not receiving a referral every single day, I have a system. So a system would be something that is in order that I do that gets me the result I want. That's how we're going to rate ourselves. And a lot of these are systems or processes or scripts or technology. Let's do another one. I'm going to give you one that most people rate a number 1. Why do you think that most people rate that a number 1? I consistently crush my quarterly rocks by fulfilling my weekly commitments and my top 3.
Time management or lack thereof, being disciplined with their time blocks.
And also, I think the plan. I know exactly where I'm going for this quarter. And so I made weekly commitments. And then I know what my most important top 3 are to work on my business. So if that is you, that's what this business plan does. You're going to take the time to plan this out and it's going to work. It's going to be great. So that's what you're going to do on this page. All right. We're not going to go through it. There's some really exciting stuff that I like going over. Okay, this one, the next page is a brain dump. This page is going to look crazy if you do it right. You are going to take everything out of your brain and put it on the paper of what you want your business to look like in 2025. I don't want you to concentrate on the how. So don't get stuck in the weeds. Take out people, money, and tools where systems were not an issue. What do you really want your business to look like next year? That's what you're going to write out here. And you're going to brain dump really big. Okay. The next part we're going to get to is delegate. My favorite way to delegate to elevate is this. If you want to make six figures in real estate and you are willing to do the work, you're going to have $20 an hour tasks and $200 an hour tasks. The $20 an hour tasks are those tasks that you could pay someone $20 or less to do. Okay. So you're going to think of what you do in your real estate business. Either it's going to go in the $20 an hour or the $200 an hour. Your $20 an hour is probably going to be big unless you've delegated a lot of it already to an admin or agents. Those are things that someone else could do. You, as the professional, something only you can do is at $200 an hour. Top left, $20 an hour. Top right, $200 an hour. Okay. Then after you put all your $20 an hour tasks, you're going to write who else could do these $20 an hour tasks. So I like to number, once I get this $20 an hour all laid out, I like to number each one of them. So 1 through 15. And then down here, I write number 1. So let's just say mailing postcards. Could I pay somebody $20 an hour or less to do that? Or use a company that I can just upload all the mailing labels to and they mail it out? You bet, for less than $20 an hour. I would put number 1, mailing postcards. I would put Vistaprint. I don't have an assistant to give it to, but I'm going to utilize Vistaprint's mailing service to do it for me. They're going to print it. They're going to mail it. Boom, out the door, done. I don't even touch it. Okay. The $200 an hour stuff, which might be things like negotiating a contract. Let's say you don't delegate that out at all. You do it. Now you're going to start to write the how. If I had to do that more efficiently or more often or at a next level, how would I do that? That's what goes in the how. So we only do who for $20 an hour and we only do how for $200 an hour. This part is so important and something that I never see in business plans. And it's so important because it shows us where we can get leverage. And you got to think out of the box. Like, if your professional photographer is going over to the house, can they measure for you? Could they put a sign in the yard or drop off the lockbox? You got to think out of the box and then make the ask. When you're looking at your $200 an hour tasks, are you doing enough of them? Because that's going to make you the money. And how can you do it more efficiently, better? Maybe you need a system attached to it. I don't know what it might be, but that's how you're going to accomplish that more often. So that's really important to work through this. Now, you can do this at one time and just come up with the stuff off the top of your head. I like to do this kind of often. So you could always print out just this sheet and do it once a quarter, once a month. If you know you're having like a nutso week because you're doing all the things, grab it that week and start writing down, what am I doing for $20 or an hour less? If you're making six figures, you can afford to pay somebody $20 an hour or less. Also, VAs, they're somewhere between $4 and $12 an hour. Full-time, part-time, anytime, subject-based, whatever. So there's no excuses. Anybody can afford it. It's just what's part of your plan. Numbers. How much do you want to make? What percentage are you going to withhold for taxes? I always use 15% here because it's on the gross of what you want to make. You can use 15% and everything will come out perfectly. Generally, expenses to run a real estate business is around 30%. Okay. If yours is less because you're kind of doing everything and maybe you don't even have enough sales yet, that's okay. Use a lesser percentage. If you're like a mathematician and you're like, dude, I need it all broken down to the penny, I would say don't do that because you're going to drive yourself crazy. Just, this is our plan. This is what we're shooting for. This is what we're looking for. When you're buying that next course that lives in your course graveyard, you'll look at it and go, I don't even have the money for that anymore. Like, I don't need another course. I need to implement. I need to get my butt busy. So expenses can be what they are, what you normally have, but 30% is a good number. Then at the bottom, it's going to tell you, in order to make X amount per year, I need to close this many transactions at this average commission, because we're going to take into account broker split, taxes, expenses, all those things. This is your homework as well. numbers page. A lot of people stop here with a business plan. This is a lot of people's whole business plan. Numbers, that's boring. We're going to do a better plan. Then we're going to review last year's numbers so we know where we're going before we create that map. How many listing appointments, buyer appointments. If you don't know, check your brokerage software. It'll tell you. But also, again, we're professionals. We should know how many appointments we went on. But you could have a Google Calendar specifically for appointments and invite yourself to it. That's how you can track all your appointments. Listing appointment, buyer appointment, second listing appointment, showing appointment, go in and count them. How many listings and buyers did you take? What was that volume closed? And the most important part of this is the 6 sources. What are your top 6 listing sources? What are your top 6 buyer sources? Normally what I see is people are either prospecting based or they're sphere based. If they're prospecting based, they're like hitting the phones and not nurturing their database generally. If they are SOI, past client, they like to nurture their clients, their relationship people. Maybe they even do client events. Those people generally are not picking up the phone to cold call. So this tells you what's currently working, and you get to decide if you're going to double down on that. I don't suggest getting more and more sources. What you want is to take like, hey, what's the source that costs me the least amount of money that gives me the most amount of sales? That's what we want. We want to know how we can do better without spending more money. So we're looking at the top sources of business and we're deciding what makes sense for the goals that we're setting. This part now, this says branding. It's hard because I have it all zoomed out. Is my favorite. All right, let's talk about branding. Put a 1 in the chat if you think branding is colors, logo. Put a 2 in the chat if you think it's how people see you because you've shown them what your values are. When you think of your values, how you want to be known, what is that? Here is a list of brand values. These are values that are so important to you. And when people look at you, they say, she is always working with excellence. So you're going to circle your top 5 brand values. I'm going to give you 2 minutes again. Read through this list really fast. Even if you're not going to continue to keep these top 5, pick 5. Here's how I do it. I just start reading. So I'm like abundance, acceptance, accessibility, accountability. When something sparks like, yes, then I write it down. Then I probably get a list of, let's say 15. And then I go back through that list again and I look through what's my top 5 out of that 15. And that's how I end up with my ultimate end number of 5. I just want you to choose 5 and they don't have to be the end all be all. We're just going to go quick. We're going to use the time allotted to get the most important pieces of this done. If you looked at your Instagram, with your Instagram, which is our new websites really, right? That's how people like get to know us. Would they know your top 5 brand values? Because whether you think you have a brand or not, you do. If you were professionalism and you showed up on your social media and out in the public and you were like in some stinky old wool coat and jogging pants, dirty boots, your car's nasty, would people think of you as a professional? Probably not. They may think you just woke up. They may think you like, I don't know, came from farm chores. I don't know. So think of what you exude. And if you're not exuding what you want your brand to be, that's okay. This is part of your business plan. If family is important to you, show that. Those kind of testimonials from your clients. Show their kids. You don't have to show their faces, but show them running in the yard when you're showing a house. Think about what you want to be known for, what your values are, and show it. It makes social so much easier. We're not creating content. We're documenting what we are. When you put together your listing presentation, make sure it has things in there that makes people feel like family, that makes them know you're a hard worker, that you're resilient, like whatever your words were. Start thinking of it that way. I like stole Zappos core values one time and put them in all my booklets. I just didn't understand what that was. Your core values are your brand values. So that's how you're going to use it. The next part to branding is developing your pitch. Now, I don't love the name elevator pitch. I think it's cheeseball, but here's where you see it. Actually, I'll ask you guys, where do you see most people's elevator pitch? Like visually see it. It's that bio statement. Christopher Perez, A+. I hope that your brand value was excellence. How many of you have trouble with your bio? What if I could give you a marketing professional for free to develop your elevator pitch? Would you do it? Write this down. Chat GPT. All you have to do is put in this. I provide what? For who? It differentiates me this way, and it's going to get you a statement. Be sure and tell it, this is for my Instagram bio, so it understands it needs less words. And if you don't like it, ask it again. Tell them why you don't like it. This is your pitch. So when someone shows up at Thanksgiving, Aunt Ethel, who thinks real estate is not a good career, says, oh yeah, Debbie, what do you do again? Show houses or something. Are you like those ladies on Selling Sunset? No, Aunt Ethel. Here's actually what I do. I provide X, Y, and Z for whoever because they want someone who is brand values. And so I offer them the best chance to do that. That's your pitch. So now when someone says, what do you do? You're not like, oh yeah, I'm a realtor. And they're like, snore. So is my neighbor, my neighbor's cousin, the girl I work with, actually, I don't know, she got her license. Because that's what we look like and sound like. We've got personality. We are our brand. This is going to take care of that for you. Next week, when you guys come to the call and I say, hey, what do you do? Everybody on this call is going to be able to drop that in the chat. So get ready, because you know I'm going to ask you. Marketing, next best part, right? We're really marketers that happen to sell homes and no one taught us marketing. How fun. What is our sweet spot? What makes us different? And part of that elevator pitch that you just did will actually help you with that. Our sweet spot is what makes us different because we do it so exceptionally well. And it's something that's wanted in the marketplace. So what you do exceptionally well, look back on your testimonials, look back on your conversations with your clients that you've helped, look back on what do people just say that you do good, that you're great at. Maybe they're like, you're an awesome storyteller. You're really good at negotiation. You know what? We gave you this like impossible challenge and you came through. That's your sweet spot. Whatever that is, you're going to now take that and use their language in your marketing so that when they hear you say it on social or read it on something that you've sent them in an email or whatever it is, they're going to go, was she just listening to our conversation last night? We were just talking about that. That's crazy. Because you've identified their major problem of who you serve and what you do well. And you've married that. So let's say they're like, you know what? I wish that when this beautiful acreage that was $800,000 or less, I wish that the second that thing hit the market, we already got to see it and we were ready to go. I just wish that number one, that property would come up and someone was like really looking for us. Not we saw it on Zillow and sent it to them, but like they found it for us. I would move in a heartbeat if somebody did that. So let's just say that's what they want. And what you do exceptionally well is connect people because you're a hunter. You look through things that were on the market before, you look at what's on the market currently, you know the inventory in your city, regardless if it's for sale or not, or ever has been. So when someone says, I'm looking for that acreage, that's a 2-story that has 6 acres, no gravel, and is 20 minutes away from my work, I would immediately move. You're like, that's what I do. And now your next story says, have you ever wanted to get horses because you know that your kids would enjoy doing that all day instead of playing video games? I help connect clients with properties that aren't even available yet. And if you want to be on that list, send me a private message and I'm happy to get you on that list. That's different than saying, I sell houses at 98% of list price, and I'll help you get it in the least amount of time with the most amount of stress, actually. But, right? So that's your sweet spot. And now you're going to start talking in their language instead of what does everybody else do? They're like sellers or buyers, they want a really good deal on a property and you can't get that deal right now. But we have a database that we can look through. It's called the MLS. That's not unique, but it's kind of the language that we give. So that's why we want you to find your sweet spot. Who is your target market? Now, this target market is not like you're going to turn down everybody else if they don't fit this exact thing. No, what this does is helps you refine your message. So put a 1 in the chat if you would rather be on stage and talk to 100,000 people, or you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation. If it's 100,000 people in an arena, put a 1. Look at you guys with the ones. If you are trying to write marketing copy, write emails, even your drip campaigns, postcards, social, and you're trying to talk to everyone, whether they're 18, whether they're 65, whether they have money, don't have a job, right? If you're not specific, you're talking to 100,000 person arena with no presentation. But if you talk to your favorite client, and your favorite client is someone that fit the criteria that you want in a client, like they don't have to be just agreeable with everything, but maybe they have disposable income so they can put money down. They had a house to sell, but it's ready to go. So you actually got 2 clients out of it. That's what you're working on this paper. When you're looking at what do my buyers and sellers want and what do I do exceptionally well to help them, we've got all of our messaging down because we understand who we're talking to. And this is just the second part to that. You can do your competitors. I'm okay with anybody skipping because sometimes we don't really know what the competitor's competitive edge is. We just think we do because they beat us out on a listing. It's like, well, they dropped their commission and they give them the price they want. If that's what your competitors do, save yourself the 5 minutes and don't even write anything because it's not worth it. Now you have your strategy for marketing because you understand your message. You know your brand values. You understand who you're talking to. You know what your sweet spot is. So now what marketing materials do you need to create so you can speak more to that person? And marketing materials could be, I need to show up on social more. I need to have an email campaign. I need to do some client events. If family is one of my things, I'm going to create a family event. We're going to go to Sky Zone or something and whatever. I'm going to do a client party. Right here is the marketing materials you want to create. And you know you're the best agent for them because you solve their problems with your sweet spot. So you could reiterate that here if you wanted to. The audit. Now you're going to audit your current social media. If social media is not one of your biggest goals, you still have to have a presence. Maybe it's blogging on a website, no problem. But do the audit on the current social that you have. So if you do Facebook and that's what you've got, then put down how many likes do I have? Because then next year when you go to look at this, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't increase likes. I posted more this year. You're going to fill that out. Then you're going to answer the questions. Is your page completed? Do you even have a social profile? Is it compelling? Is your videos high quality? I uploaded a video the other day. I could upload it from Zoom, then it cut it for me, and then I could post it. It's blurry, but Zoom isn't blurry. So I can't use that anymore, right? Like nobody wants that. So look at your feed. What does it look like? That's your new website. What does that look like? Okay. The next part is your follower checklist and your captions checklist. So do you have some call to action? Don't get overwhelmed by this piece. You're just auditing. You're just doing assessment. Where am I at? If they're all no, they are. Then maybe one of your plans is to learn more about it, to ask ChatGPT some of these questions. Do your captions have a clear call to action? Hey, ChatGPT, give me some caption ideas with a call to action for these 3 videos that I had already shot. I need to know what I would have put, and that's how I'll learn. Okay. Then the last part to this is the goals. Most business plans are the numbers and then the goals. But you guys have already put in the work to figure out what your vision is, what you're going to delegate, what numbers you need. So this top part you can fill out very fast. And I gave you the little calculations, how to do it right there. You've also done your branding and marketing and a social audit. So now when you create your vision, remember we brain dumped in the beginning, what do you want your role to be in 3 years? I don't even have a team. I've never been successful. I don't know how to hire people. I've been through 18 admin. It's okay. We're dreaming, we're future casting, and we're not going to put those words in our future. So what is your role? And also what needs to be added here, admin role, I would put admin and people. Who do I need to become? Your 3-year goal is not going to happen with who you are today, meaning you need to develop more skills. You need to do some more personal development. You may need more communication. You may need social training. You may need a coach. I don't know. What would that person who makes $750,000 pure profit in real estate, how does that person make decisions? What does that person's routine look like? What are their standards? What's their non-negotiables? If you had to create 5 daily non-negotiables, what would that person do? What would they have? That's that 3-year vision. Cross that out and put, who do I need to become? From 3 years, you're going to break it down to next year. 2025, what do I want? My role to be, leverage I need, the systems I need. What are my sources of business? Who do I need to become this year so I can hit my 3-year? And then the 5 strategies to accomplish that. And then you're just going to break it down into 90 days. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be overdone. In fact, it can be pretty simple. Once you come up with your year-long business plan, you're going to take the 5 major pieces of it and you're going to make it your screensaver on your computer and your phone. Never again are we going to not know what our business plan was and not take a look at it. Set an alarm in your phone for every day at noon or whatever time you want, 9 a.m., noon, right before you go to bed. Just read those 5 things. Your brain's going to start working on it because it's going to see it every time you open up your computer, every time you're going to unlock your phone. And you can build that on Canva. You know what else you can do? Write it on a piece of paper and take a picture. Doesn't even have to be fancy pants. You guys make my day. I love doing this. So it's fun to be with you. Good job, guys. You did the work. That's why this call was fun, because you guys are doing the work and you were interactive and you had your cameras on and you're like fired up, ready to go. If you have another 30 minutes, print out this business plan and start working on it. It'd be perfect. It's like in your head.